This girl is being kidnapped by some Albanian people. Within a few days, they will turn her into a prostitute. She had come to Paris with her friend Amanda, who is from America. When she was kidnapped, she was talking to her father, Brian, on the phone. Brian was an officer in the CIA's intelligence division in America. He investigates and finds out that whoever kidnapped his daughter, Kim, within 96 hours they will turn her into a prostitute and sell her to an unknown buyer, from where they will never be able to find her again. At this moment, Brian is in America, and his daughter Kim has been kidnapped in the city of Paris, France. He only has 4 days to rescue her. Within these 4 days, he will have to find his daughter. This is the story behind the Hollywood movie, Taken, made in 2008. So, let's not waste any time and start from the beginning of the movie's story. Brian loves his daughter Kim very much, but even though he loves her so much, he couldn't spend time with her because of his job at the CIA. He used to be always busy with his work. Due to this, Brian's wife divorces him and marries a rich man named Stuart. Kim now lives with her mother and stepfather, Stuart. Today is Kim's birthday. After waking up early in the morning, Brian went to a music instrument store and bought a karaoke machine as a birthday gift for Kim. Since childhood, Kim has dreamed of becoming a singer when she grows up. Stuart has arranged a big party for Kim's birthday, and Brian arrives in time with his gift. However, Lenore seems a little uneasy when she sees him. She repeatedly asks him to leave the gift and go to the other side, but Brian insists on giving the gift to Kim himself. Then, Kim runs to Brian and jumps toward him. Brian asks Kim to open her gift. Kim opens it and finds a karaoke machine. Upon seeing the gift, Lenore gets annoyed. Then they notice that a horse has arrived for Kim, gifted by Kim's stepfather. Kim gets excited upon seeing the horse and leaves the karaoke behind, walking towards Stuart. This makes Brian feel a bit upset. Later that night, Brian goes through Kim's photo album and looks at old pictures of her. Seeing the old pictures of Kim makes him emotional. Suddenly, his old friends come over to his house. Before, there was talk of having a barbecue party at Brian's house. They all used to work at the CIA at some point. When the barbecue party was over and it was time to leave, Sam offered Brian a job for one day. The job was to provide security for a famous singer at a concert. Brian agreed to Sam's offer. The next day, all of Brian's friends from the barbecue party came to help with the singer's security duty. Everything was going well at the concert. When the singer, Shira, was getting ready for the concert, Brian told him that he had a girl who also wants to be a singer like her. Can she give any tips on this matter? Shira doesn't give him any advice and rather arrogantly tells him to tell his daughter to do something else instead of singing. Brian feels a little upset about this. During the concert, Kim calls him to ask if he would like to meet him at a restaurant tomorrow. Upon hearing this, Brian becomes very happy. Perhaps he can make a place in her daughter's heart. At the end of the concert, when Shira was leaving the stage, suddenly there was a commotion at the concert. The gate was broken, and everyone started coming inside the stage area. To provide security for Shira, Brian takes her toward the car and away from danger. However, on the way, someone attacks Shira with a knife, but Brian easily apprehends the attacker and saves Shira from harm. He quickly takes her to a safe place using the car. The next day, Shira requests to meet Brian for thanking him for saving her life. She then tells him that she will help his daughter become a singer, and will even bear all the expenses associated with it. She gives him a card with her agent's number on it. The next day, Brian is waiting eagerly with Shira's card, waiting for Kim. However, he sees that Kim has come with Lenore. He thought that maybe Kim will come alone, but he doesn't like the fact that she has come with Lenore. After a few moments of conversation, he understands that Kim did not come to see him. They had actually come to get Brian's signature. Kim told him that she wanted to go to Paris with her friend Amanda, but since she was under 18, according to US law, she would need her father's permission to leave the country. However, Brian informed her that he had traveled a lot on the missions of the CIA and that this world is not so easy, and that any danger could arise at any time. Therefore, he did not agree to let Kim go with only her friend. At that time, Lenore pressures him to give permission, but Brian refused to let Kim go outside the country like this. This upsets Kim, who cries and left the restaurant. Brian couldn't give her the card of Shira. He thought about Kim all night. The next day, he went to see Kim and tells her that he could give her permission, but with some conditions. He gave her an international calling feature mobile phone and told her to call him every day to let him know where she is. Kim happily accepted the condition. Before long, the day came for Kim to go to Paris. Brian drove her to the airport himself. While picking up Kim's bags at the airport, Brian made sure to check a world map where many locations were marked. Brian realizes immediately that Kim has lied to him. Kim will not only go to Paris, but she will also travel to many other countries. When he goes to Lenore about this, she says that she already knows about this. She did not tell him because she wanted Brian to not know the truth. After all, he would never agree. She doesn't want her daughter to miss out on life's experiences. If he imposes too many rules and conditions, Kim will never love Brian as a father again, Lenore threatens. Hearing all of this, Brian is compelled to let her go. When they arrive at the airport in Paris, Kim and Amanda take a photo of themselves outside. Then a boy comes up to them and starts talking. He takes a picture of both of them together. He tells them his name is Peter. Then he offers to share a taxi with them because taxis in Paris are very expensive. Amanda and Kim agree immediately. From the time Kim left, Brian has been under a lot of tension. He repeatedly calls Kim, but the calls are not received. After reaching their destination, Amanda tells Peter that it is her cousin's house, but no one is at home. So, if Peter wants, he can come with them to the party. Then, after seeing their address, Peter bids them farewell and leaves. But after some time, Peter calls someone and tells him about Amanda and Kim. Kim and Amanda come to their room. Amanda starts dancing to loud music as soon as she arrives home. Meanwhile, Brian is still trying to call Kim. However, due to the loud music, Kim cannot hear the sound of the call. After a while, she checks her phone and realizes that her father had called him. So, she goes to the bathroom to answer the phone. During the conversation, Kim looks out the window and sees several people grabbing Amanda. They are forcibly taking her away. Kim becomes scared and immediately tells everything to his father. Then Brian tells her to go to her room and hide under the bed. Then he immediately connects his phone to a recorder and asks her if she met anyone at the airport. Kim tells him about Peter. Brian understands the whole thing. He tells Kim that those people will now catch her, and when they take her away, she should keep in mind everything she sees about them to be able to describe them accurately and loudly. As he speaks, those people come to Kim's room, grab her, and take her away. Kim describes the kidnapper by saying that he is 6 feet tall, with a beard, and a tattoo of stars and the moon on his hand. After saying this, nothing more is heard. Brian realizes that the phone has been taken by someone else. He then says that he does not know who he is and that if he keeps his girl for ransom, he has no money. However, he has skills that he has learned throughout his life. If he releases his girl, he will not do anything. But if he does not release her, he will find him and take matters into his own hands. Then someone tells him, "Good luck." After saying that, the call is cut off. Then, Brian prepares to go to Stuart's house. On the way, he calls his friend Sam and tells him everything, asking him to analyze the call recording and provide him with details. Upon reaching Stuart's house, Brian asked him if he had any enemies in Paris. Stuart replied that as far as he knew, he had no enemies in Paris. Upon hearing the news of Kim's kidnapping, Lenore began to cry and told Brian to bring his daughter back no matter what. Brian told Stuart to arrange for a plane ticket for him immediately so he could go to Paris. Sam also called Brian and informed him that he had analyzed their conversation according to the call record and had deduced that the people who kidnapped Kim were all from the Albanian Troposha city. Marco, the leader of their gang, whom they had wished good luck, runs a gang that first turns young women into drug addicts and then turns them into prostitutes so that they can sell them to foreign customers. The entire process takes 96 hours. Once the sale is made, it is impossible to find them. Upon hearing this, Brian immediately leaves for Paris to rescue Kim. On the plane, he kept listening to that recording repeatedly, especially the part where Marco wished him good luck. Upon arriving in Paris, he visits the house Kim stayed before her kidnapping. He sneaks into the apartment through the window and observes it for a while. He imagines what might have happened there. Analyzing a phone recording, he figures out where Kim was and how things were. He goes under the bed to find the mobile phone that was given to Kim. Although the phone was completely broken, its memory card was still intact. He goes out to check what's inside the memory card. Inside the memory card, he finds a lot of pictures taken by Kim and Amanda. He keeps looking at them one by one. Suddenly his eyes get fixed on a picture that Peter had taken. In that picture, he sees Peter's reflection. He realizes that this is Peter. Meanwhile, Peter is busy targeting his next girl. He sees a girl coming alone and starts to follow her just like before. He offers her a ride share, but before he can say anything else, Brian arrives and grabs Peter to save the girl. As Brian tries to kill Peter, he keeps asking him about Kim, but before Peter can say anything, another person arrives and saves him. Peter takes this opportunity to escape. While running, Peter gets hit by a car and dies. Brian then meets an old friend of his named Jin. Jin is now the deputy director of the Internal Security Department in Paris. Brian tells him everything that has happened to him. After listening to everything, Jin tells him to start looking for a place named Port de Neymar. Brian becomes impatient and sets off for the port without further discussion. As soon as Brian leaves, Jin calls someone and informs them something. Before Brian leaves for the port, he hires a translator to help him understand English translations from Albanian. Then he leaves the translator in the car and goes outside, telling him to wait for his return. Nearby, some hookers were roaming the streets looking for customers to sell their bodies. He starts harassing a hooker. She tells him that if she doesn't work, she will be in trouble. But Brian keeps saying different things to annoy her. Then, it is seen that someone comes. He approaches Brian and threatens him, saying he is ruining his business, demanding that he quietly leave, paying €50. Brian cunningly attaches a transmitter to the man's jacket and, as he was instructed, gives him €50 and returns to his car. Sitting in his car, he listens to the audio coming from the transmitter on the speaker and instructs the translator to translate everything. The translator tells him that the man is speaking to someone on the phone and discussing his work at a construction site. Brian tells him that his job is done and sends him away from the car, ordering him to leave an English to Albanian dictionary with him. Then he follows the man, goes to the construction site, disguises himself as a worker, and sneaks inside. Inside, he sees a room made up of small compartments like a closet, made up with clothes hanging inside. He lifts the curtain and looks. In every corner, a girl is lying half naked. They have been drugged and left there. After searching a few corners, she suddenly sees Kim's jacket left behind in a girl's room. He tries to ask the girl where she found that jacket, but the girl has been drugged so heavily that she can't say anything. She just mumbles incoherently. Brian takes the girl and leaves the place. The guards try to stop him, but he fights them off easily. He leaves the construction site with the girl. They try to catch Brian, but they can't. Meanwhile, it is shown that Jin is on the phone talking with the criminals. From this, it can be understood that there is some kind of relationship between them and Jin. Brian went to a deserted alley and changed cars, then stole another car and took the girl to a hotel. Upon arriving at the hotel, he started giving the girl various types of drugs to help her overcome her addiction. Then he took an Albanian dictionary and began learning some Albanian words. After spending some time like this, the girl's sense returns. Seeing that the girl's sense has returned, Brian asks her where she got this jacket from. The girl replies that it was very cold inside the house and Kim gave her the jacket. Brian finds out the address of the house from Kim where she was taken. Without delay, he goes straight to that address. Upon arrival, he sees two people sitting there. He tells them that he is a police officer and shows them the card. He says that he now wants to meet with their boss. Brian confidently says this so the person believes him. He takes him inside to meet with the boss. Upon entering, he sees that 4 more people are sitting inside, and one of them has a moon and star tattoo on his hand. They ask him what he wants here. Brian tells them that he has come to talk to them about bribe rates. Since the previous officer has been replaced, they now have to do all the dealings with him. Brian knows that such work is never done without police cooperation. The police allow these criminals to continue with their activities by taking bribes from them. So, he was putting up a police-like appearance in front of them to intimidate them, indicating that if they didn't pay him the money he demanded, he would catch them within 10 minutes and arrange for them to be imprisoned, ensuring that they would never be able to get out of it again. After listening to Brian, they were convinced and gave him some money. As Brian was leaving, Brian approached the man with the tattoo on his hand, gave him a piece of paper, and said that he doesn't understand Albanian and that the guy should read it out to him loudly. The guy says the writing means good luck. Hearing the word good luck, Brian gets confirmed that this is the man who had kidnapped Kim. He says, "I told you I would find you out." Without delay, he began to beat everyone up, and a dangerous fight broke out. Brian easily defeated everyone within moments and then began searching every room in the building one by one. In every room, a girl was lying on the bed. In one such room, she finds Amanda, but it was Amanda's dead body. She had been given so many drugs that she couldn't survive. Then Brian catches Marco and ties him to a chair. He keeps giving him electric shocks and asks him about Kim. Marco doesn't say anything at first, but after several shocks, he reveals that he sold Kim to someone named Claire but doesn't know where to find him. As Brian had suspicions about Jin before, he goes directly to Jin's house. Jin's wife and children were all present at home. While sitting at the dining table, Brian asks Jin directly if he was involved in the kidnapping of his daughter. Jin realizes that he has been found and says that he took the bribe from them because his salary was low, but he was not directly involved in the kidnapping. Brian asks for St. Clair's address and Jin immediately takes out a gun and points it at Brian. But Brian had already taken the bullets out of Jin's gun. Brian pointed the gun at Jin's wife and threatened to make her children orphans if he didn't provide the address of St. Clair. Compelled by Brian, Jin accessed his computer database and found the address of St. Clair using a picture and the address. Brian deceives Jin by taking his ID and knocks him out and proceeded to St. Clair's address. When he arrived at St. Clair's address, he showed Jin's ID to gain entry. There was a checkpoint at the location where several people tried to apprehend him, but he continued to advance while remaining unseen to them. And then he knocks out a waiter and takes his cover. He enters a room and saw that many girls were being sold as prostitutes. Many people were offering their preferred price after seeing the girls. Brian was standing behind and watching everything. After a while, he saw that someone had brought Kim. Kim had been given so many drugs that she couldn't stand properly. Brian immediately pointed a gun at the man's head and asked him to buy Kim. The man was forced to buy Kim, and then suddenly someone hit him on the head while they were leaving the room, leaving him unconscious. When he regained consciousness, he saw that he was standing in front of Claire with his hand tied. Claire asked him what he was doing here. Brian told him that the girl they had taken was his daughter and if he returned her, he would leave. But Claire said that this was a business, and once something was sold in this business, it couldn't be returned. He said, "Take Brian and kill him." Soon after, he said that Brian easily overpowers the killers, takes their guns, and started killing everyone there one by one. After killing everyone there, he grabbed Claire and immediately shot him in both hands and feet, telling him to give Kim back. Claire said that a ship had already been sent to the dock for Kim. He didn't know where they were going to take her from there. Brian immediately ran towards the dock. Running the whole way, he reached the dock and saw that Kim was being taken onto the ship. But before he could reach the ship, it had already left without him. Brian quickly stole a car and started following the path towards the ship. Along the way, there was a place where the ship had to go under a bridge. Brian arrived in front of the bridge before the ship and jumped onto the ship from above the bridge. He fought with several people on the ship. So the people inside the ship realize that Brian has come to the ship. They all get ready with guns for Brian. But Brian is a CIA agent with a lot of fighting experience, so no one can fight with him. Everyone loses to Brian, and he goes to a room to see an old man holding a knife to Kim's throat. Without giving him a chance to speak, Brian shoots him straight in the head. Kim runs to grab Brian and starts crying. She can understand why her real father had told her that this world is not so good. She apologizes for not listening to him. That day, he returns to America with Kim in a healthy and normal way. And that's how the story ends.